to JW Night Talk. Oh, welcome, everyone. I just thought I'd play one of my old intros. Get things rolling here. You know why we play these intros, or at least I do? Kind of gives you time in the back to get prepared, get your mic set, have a drink of coffee, make sure you're looking okay. But we had to skydive into this one today. We're going to New Brunswick to watch the solar eclipse. Now, the solar eclipse is not going to happen for a bit. And I got some background noise here. There. Okay, so I'm going to share a screen with you. We're going to go right to WatchMe Tower. And we'll take a look at getting their screen in here. Share entire screen. We'll share this one. There we go. A screen within a screen. So if we go like that, there, you should see that. I'm just kind of keeping an eye on my other computer there so I can check over there to see what I look like. I only have two screens, but this gives me a third screen. Okay, so we have WatchMe Tower, and I think I got the audio going for him as well. And that's Pete over at WatchMe Tower, and he's live right now with this. You can watch. He's just pointing his camera at the sun. We don't have that kind of sun here in Alberta. The sun here in Alberta is, what is it here? 23% we're going to get here in Edmonton. The further south you go in like Calgary, you get a little bit more. But what you see up on the screen, that's thanks to WatchMe Tower. And WatchMe Tower is a great supporter of the XJW community. He's located in New Brunswick. And I want to talk a little bit about the eclipses, solar eclipses. I'll silence Pete, unless Pete wants to talk. If we see Pete's face come on, I'll put him on audio. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about solar eclipses. I started looking at this. There's a lot of information. And this solar eclipse this year is one of the rarest solar eclipses. They say that the chance of this happening again in New Brunswick or this area might be 430 years between in particular areas. So it's not like, there's lots of solar eclipses, lots of eclipses, but we're going to talk a little bit about that in a minute too, as well. Now, let's start with eclipses. Everything you need to know about this eclipse today, Monday. It's an eclipse. What is it? Let's look at it. An eclipse is an astronomical event that occurs when an astronomical object or spacecraft is temporarily obscured by passing into the shadow of another body or by having another body pass between it and the viewer. And this alignment of three celestial objects is known as a astronomically, they call it a Syzygy. An eclipse is a result of either an occultation, completely hidden, or transit, partially hidden. And that's what we're getting here now in Edmonton, where we are, is partially hidden. A deep eclipse is when is behind the bigger one. The smaller one's behind the bigger one. So that's, we're getting the moon in front of the sun. Now, the term eclipse is most often used to describe either a solar eclipse, and that's when the moon's shadow crosses the Earth's surface, or a lunar eclipse when the moon moves into the Earth's shadow. However, it can also refer to such events beyond the Earth or moon system. For example, a planet moving into a shadow cast by one of its moons, or a moon passing into the shadow cast by a host planet. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so this one, here's what I wanted to talk about. is this one. They're very rare. Here's where it says it. But solar eclipses, particularly total eclipses occurring at any one particular point on the Earth's surface, are very rare events that can be many decades apart. So that's what this is saying, Wikipedia. Now, I was looking on Wikipedia. Eclipse is over Ramapo, New York. We just had that earthquake a couple of days ago over Ramapo. And it says that this is a very rare event. They haven't seen one over New York for a lot of years, like hundreds of years. This kind of an eclipse. It's a big thing. I'm going to read an article on it here. Okay, so Ramapo is getting a total eclipse. And their total eclipse, I looked at the time chart here, it's happening at the same time as the one we're looking at on the screen. That's what we're looking at. This one is in New Brunswick, so it's the same time zone. Okay, next on my map is this a rare solar eclipse? Total solar eclipses are rare and aren't often visible from the US. The last time one occurred here was 2017, and the US won't see another until 2044, as of today, right? And here's a list of all of them. So I was looking at that list. It says, what are the odds of a total solar eclipse? On average, there is one somewhere on Earth every 18 months. However, when you consider that our planet is 71% water, the odds of seeing one get smaller, the odds of seeing one. So as for a total solar eclipse reoccurring at any given location, that happens roughly every 360 to 410 years.
Victor just asked you to turn your volume up.
Really?
You sound okay to me, but
okay.
Just so you know.
Volume.
Maybe Vintage can't get enough of you.
Okay, I'll turn my volume up. Let me see what I can find here. Thank you. 45. Yeah, StreamYard turns it down. I turned it up. Is that loud? Louder? StreamYard turns it, when I play those intros, it turns it up, down. That should be a little louder, right? No? Okay. Okay, so that was interesting. Roughly every 360 to 410 years is when you'll see a total solar eclipse, like the one that we're looking at right now on the screen. 360 to 410 years. So Ramapo, New York, has not seen this in their lifetime. This is a big deal. A big deal. For us up here in the Northern Hemisphere to see this. Okay, so that's what I wanted to say. That's what I'm getting off my Google searches. So let's look at the total solar eclipse has begun for millions in North America. It's an article by CBC. Millions of people across North America are ready to watch a total solar eclipse slide across the continent for the first time in 7 years on Monday. So they're throwing some different dates in here, right? First time in 7 years on Monday, with the phenomenon initially appearing over Mexico. The beachside town of Mazatlan, Mexico, I was there. I don't know if you've ever went there. We did some JW work there. They called it English groups. They had English groups down there in the Spanish. The Spanish didn't really like the English JWs. They thought they were getting involved in their territory, but you guys know all about that if you're a JW. But let's carry on. Mazatlan, beautiful place. Lots of people, lots of friends down there. They were friends. I was looking on YouTube, said we have some subscribers from Mazatlan. So if you're at Mazatlan, hello, you've already seen the eclipse. Um, Here's what it says. The beachside town of Mazatlan, Mexico, was the first major viewing spot of the day as the eclipse began over land just before 1 p.m. ET, Eastern Time. Despite a few clouds, thousands of people gathered along the coastline in the deck chairs, the eclipse glasses, as an orchestra played the Star Wars theme. Okay, that sounds pretty exciting. The last one I saw was when I was 9 years old, said Lord Dew's Coro, now 43, who traveled 10 hours by car to get to Mazatlan. There are few clouds, but we can still see the sun. A total solar eclipse happens when the moon glides in front of the sun, briefly plunging parts of the earth below its total darkness. The show began over the southern Pacific Ocean before reaching Mexico. The darkness is going to move up into the United States, starting in Texas, and then continue northeast before coming to an end off the coast of Newfoundland just after 5:15 p.m. Eastern Time. In Canada, the path of totality, the stretch where the moon will block the sunlight entirely, includes parts of Ontario, Quebec, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, and Newfoundland, and Labrador. People outside the path of totality will see a partial solar eclipse with just some of the sun obscured by the moon. And the weather created some anxiety ahead of the eclipse as forecasters call for cloudy skies along much of its path. The clearest weather is expected at the tail end of the eclipse in Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine, as well as New Brunswick and Newfoundland in Canada. So that's what we're tied into. Pete lives in New Brunswick, is it? Yeah, New Brunswick. So we're tied into one of the clearest paths for the solar eclipse, folks. So this is it. This is a party. This is the place to be. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to keep going here. I have a lot of material here. I have some really interesting material on the eclipses. Where are we next? But is a solar eclipse a sign of end times? Well, it is true that Jesus, in what we call the Olivet discourse, the Olivet discourse. Have you ever heard of that? That's like the Mount of Olives. They call it an Olivet discourse. I never heard of that before. I knew he was standing on the Mount of Olives, but that's kind of a cool name, I guess. Okay, this is found in Matthew 24. We're going to read it, and it talks about the end times and says the sun will be darkened. It's kind of a ominous thing. And we're going to actually talk about what we do as humans. Did you know that even though we don't believe in superstitions, we know these are eclipses. They happen. Science talks about it, and we can get into that part of it, but we're not going to. I'm not a scientist, but I'm really interested in the theology end of it, and I'm really interested in how people think. And people actually believe a little bit of the what if, what if it means this? What if it means that? Omens. People are like that. We all do it. We're going to read an article here really quick. But first of all, we're going to go to the Bible, and we're going to look at this Olivet discourse. Here it is. Well, I'm not going to put it up on the screen here because we're going to keep looking at we don't want to miss the eclipse. So I could put it up on the screen if you want to see it here. I know how to do that. I got the technology, but I got to go like this. There. I go like that. Like that. There, yeah, you got her. Okay, so this is the Olivet, they call it. What do they call this? The Olivet. Yeah, the Olivet Discourse. Never heard of it like that before, but the Mount of Olives. And this is the whole chapter of Matthew. I got it kind of blown up here a bit. Matthew 24. JW has used Matthew 24 a lot. Matthew 24, the signs of the age. We used to use that all the time. We'd go to the door with the Watchtower and the Awake, and we'd read all this stuff. For many will come to you in my name, saying the end is not yet. But we're going to go all the way down to this where it's talking about this. Did I get that right? Matthew 24. I had it there. Yeah, 24 and 29. Okay, so 29 is the coming of the Son of Man. Immediately, it says, after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light. Isn't that like a total solar eclipse? And the stars will fall from heaven, and the power of the heavens will be shaken. And then will appear the heaven, the sign of the Son of Man, and all the tribes of the earth will mourn, and they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he will send out his angels with a loud trumpet call, and they will gather his elect from the four winds and from the one ends of the heaven to the other. So is that the one that talks about the earthquake? Great glory. Okay. Now, this is all about, it's kind of an ominous thing, but the earthquake was in here too. Let me just see if I can find that. You guys, I'm going to take this off the screen so you guys can stare at the sun. There. Okay, immediately the sun will be darkened and the moon will not give its light, and the stars will fall from heaven, and the powers of the heaven will be shaken. Well, there was a big earthquake there. I had that scripture pulled up. Eclipse, earthquake. Let me look at that again. You guys just keep looking at the sun there. I'll blow that up for you. Earth. We'll see. We'll see if we can hear Pete. Can you hear this? No, can't hear anything. The sun's not making any noise. Earthquake. Oh, that's where I got mixed up on this. You know, Revelation almost says the same thing as what Jesus said. So Jesus was talking about in Matthew. He said, immediately in those days, the sun will be dark and the moon will not give its light, and the stars will fall from heaven. The powers of heaven will be shaken. So then I went to Revelation. In the book of Revelation, chapter 6 and verse 12, it says, when he opened the sixth seal, look, behold, there was a great earthquake. A great earthquake. And then it says, the sun became black, as sackcloth, and the full moon became like blood. So there was a great earthquake, and there was an eclipse, total eclipse. Sun became black. So isn't that what happened in Ramapo? Great earthquake. Well, it was a great earthquake because never before did they have an earthquake in Ramapo. Never before. and now the sun is becoming black over Ramapo. And that's like that happens every, well, they said every 400 years. That's what Wikipedia said or something. Anyways, this is you know, the reason we look for superstitions, I'm going to read an article on this. Opinion, ancient superstitions about eclipses paved the way for the scientific truth. I should put this on the screen. I'm going to put it on the screen, then I'll move it off. There it is. So this is a picture of Christopher Columbus, and he knew about the eclipses. He knew how to cut, how to count time or whatever they did. They knew about astrology for years, astrologers. So here, Christopher Columbus frightens the Caribbean natives in Jamaica to assisting him. And how did he do this? By predicting a lunar eclipse in 1504. Kind of shows a picture of him. So all the locals, all the Caribbeans are all worshiping him because he predicted it. So could you imagine the power that gives you back then when they didn't have the internet? Pretty hard to get away with that now. Okay, you guys just watch the sun there. We're going to look for this lunar eclipse. It all should be happening here in a bit, about a half hour. It'll be completely dark. It should start to happen. So, opinion. Ancient superstitions about eclipses paved the way for this scientific truth. So that was the only picture for this article, was Christopher Columbus frightening the Caribbeans in Jamaica by predicting it. Okay. And the editor's note, Jason Colovati, he's a writer and culture critic based in upstate New York. So the guy that's writing this is out of New York. In ancient Mesopotamia, a solar eclipse was a cause for deep concern. The ancient people of the Near East feared that eclipses, especially of the sun and moon, but also of the planets, were an evil portent that signaled great danger for the health and life of the king. To save the ruler from a dire fate, they would appoint a temporary king for a brief period and murder him, thus fulfilling the portent of the king's death and allowing the usual occupant of the throne to return to the office unarmed. Now, a rare solar eclipse is crossing the United States ahead of the American election contest, featuring both the current president and his predecessor in a rematch. Many voters say they don't want. While an election loss is only a figurative political death, it's hard not to feel at least a little of that ancient Mesopotamian unease mixing in with the excitement and the joy of watching one of nature's most spectacular light shows. So, folks, this article is just 2 days old. It was just released. And they're tying it into the election. We won't name names, but what's going on in the US. It's kind of like what happened in ancient Mesopotamia, where the ancient people feared the eclipses, especially the sun and the moon, but also of the planets. So people are looking at that. I thought, let's read on and see what he says in the article. He says, even in this age of science, superstitions die hard, and even the most rational of us sometimes believe in omens. Today, eclipses retain a little bit of their historic role as harbingers of doom. Harbingers. No R in there. Not. It's HARBINGERS. Yeah, heralding doom. Yeah, never used that word before. On social media, far-right fearmongers offer essential conspiracy theories about eclipse signaling an attack on American cities by undocumented migrants. But the fact that most of us now understand that a sign in the sky as dramatic as an eclipse doesn't dictate events on Earth as an important reminder of the immutable scientific truths in an age of conspiracy theories. Okay, I'll just shut that off. Okay. Yes, so around the ancient world, solar eclipses sparked fear because they seemed to happen at random, and their cause was not fully understood, prompting anxiety about whether the sun would appear again. So they kind of played with that a bit, Columbus did. Now, where knowledge failed, myth filled the gaps. Many cultures imagined a solar eclipse occurred when a mythological being ate the sun. In Vietnam, it was a frog. In the Andes, a puma. Among the native people of North America, animals from squirrels to bears did the job. And in ancient China, a dragon was responsible. In other cultures, eclipse myths revolved around a meeting or a marriage between the sun and the moon. Over time, ancient people began to try to record and understand eclipses scientifically. And though these efforts were still mixed with magical thinking, more than 2,500 years ago, Chinese astronomers compiled records of solar eclipses, but they saw them as dark omens for their emperor, who had to avoid meat and perform rites to rescue the sun. And according to the Greek historian Herodotus, I think I got it, Herodias, Thales of Miletus was the first to predict a solar eclipse, this Greek historian. And when the prediction came true, the Medes and Lydians, who were then at war, they took it as an omen and they ceased their battle and they sought peace. Wow, imagine that power to predict a solar eclipse back in the day. You'd have to kind of know what part of the earth it would be on, but imagine the power. So some modern scholars dispute that Thales ever made such a prediction, but by c. 100 to 300 CE, scholars from the Mediterranean to China had begun calculating timing of solar eclipses, though they could not predict where on Earth they would be visible. That skill took until 1715 to master. So that was mastered back in 1715, a couple hundred years ago. Another picture. I better show you this one. Looking at the eclipse, October 19th, 1865. Here, I'll show it to you. There it is. No? What'd they do? Lost my article. I won't show you the screen then. Okay, here we go. I won't play with it. Okay, so keep watching the sun. You see something happening there? Oh yeah, something's going on. Is that the moon in the middle of it? I don't think so, eh? Okay, so as science worked out so it was a group of people safely watching a solar eclipse in New York City, 1865. That's what I was going to show you. And they all had little lenses or something. They're looking at it. Ooh, wonder if they wrecked their eyes. 1865, New York. They were looking at it. So it did happen a couple of hundred years ago. 19, yeah. almost 100 and some years ago. As science worked out the mechanics of eclipses, some of the traditional terror abated, at least among the educated. Oh, something's happening on the screen. You guys see that, eh? That's a lens here. Let's see if he's talking to us. Can you guys hear that noise? Can you hear that over there? I don't know if I turned the volume on. I'll turn it off. He was just moving it around. I don't think Pete will point his face at the camera and talk. Okay, we're going to carry on. Okay, as science worked out by the early modern period of 1400 to 1600 CE, European writers tried to reclaim the sense of divine fear by recording how the natural world cowered before eclipses. So it seems like 100 to 300 CE, Mediterranean to China, they were calculating the timing of the eclipses. And then later on, like 1,000 years later on, they started looking at eclipses as omens because they could fool people. People are smart. They know how to use things to control people or fool people. Now, stories abounded of horses and other beasts of burdens refusing to move during an eclipse. Birds, some said, fell from the sky, seized with fear. Nocturnal creatures ran riotous outside their appointed hours. And today, science tells us many animals think night is approaching and act accordingly. So we'll get Pete there to tell us if his animals, he's on a little farm. And if you go to his channel, there's his farm. He's showing it right there. Okay, so we'll look and see if the animals start acting weird, the chickens, and see if they start running around. Now there's snow on the ground there, you notice, on the farm? You're going to see that after his hand moves. There, you see the snow on the ground? Oh, just for a moment. So we got to see the yard for a moment there. Now he's blocking the sun with his finger, like an eclipse. That's kind of cool. I'll see if Pete's talking to us. I'll put the volume on. No, he's not talking. That's a lens. He's using a lens there. It's a deck of cards. You see the deck of cards there? There's a deck of cards. Spades. Ace of spades. It's funny how that reflects back, eh? We were watching earlier and Pete was showing us all his various lenses, welding lenses. And that's the safest way to do looking at the sun is with welding lenses, or through a computer like we're doing now is a very safe method of doing it. But there you go. You see how you see the thing moving, it's moving in front of it there through the welding lens. Can you guys see that? Right there. But it still looks bright, eh? You know, even though the moon's moving in front of it, it still looks bright. It's got about 30% to go, I would say. Maybe not even that much. Third, yeah. Well, that's about 30%. Okay, well, that's just enough time. I'll keep reading this article. Now, nocturnal creatures. Science tells us many animals think night is approaching. So let's see how dark it gets at Pete's house and see if his roosters start crowing like it's night. Okay. Now, even among some humans, especially those with little scientific training, eclipses remained terrifying for centuries, even as late as the 19th century. And when a total solar eclipse approached France in 1654, an anonymous pamphlet attributed to the astronomer Pierre Gassendi tried to reassure residents of Paris that the eclipse would bring no harm. Nevertheless, the message didn't sink in. The French literacy rate was around 30%, and many Parisians locked themselves in their cellars to ride out the anticipated disaster that never came. Christopher Columbus is said to have awed the Arawak people he was attempting to violently colonize by correctly predicting a solar eclipse. That's the picture we've seen at the outset. But that story is incorrect. Columbus, in fact, predicted a lunar one, and many people confuse the Columbus tale with the one from a much later novel. In 1889, Mark Twain had told a similar story with a more dramatic solar eclipse to save the hero in his novel, a Connecticut Yankee in a king author's court from execution. In both cases, the stories were intended to contrast modern practitioners of science against people benighted with superstition. So it sounds like those could just be stories. Okay, with the exception of public education and increased literature, eclipses became less a source of fear than one of excitement and entertainment. So that's what we are. We live in this age, folks, where we understand these things. So it's not a source of fear, but one more of excitement and entertainment. That's what I see happening. Now, by the 19th century, large crowds gathered for eclipse watching parties. And that's what we read about in Mazatlan. They had an eclipse. Everyone was coming to Mazatlan to watch the eclipse and gazing through the smoke glass to protect their eyes from the sun. Now, during the solar eclipse of 1842, 20,000 people of all social classes gathered in Perpignan, France, and applauded the sun's performance. But even at that late date, some poor, illiterate farmers reported feeling terror at the eclipse. The sky was serene, and yet the light of the day diminished, and every object grew shadowy, and then all at once we were in the dark. We thought we had become blind, one told the astronomer Francio Argo. Eclipses have always brought with them a heady mix of science and superstition. But today, thanks to education and to the media, nearly everyone knows what an eclipse is and how to view one safely. This triumph of scientific education gives us a ray of hope that even in the age of fake news, misinformation, and alternative facts, scientific knowledge eventually wins out. It just might take a few thousand years. So that's the end of that article. I thought it was kind of gave us a little bit of a look at both sides of it. Ancient superstitions, eclipses, scientific truth. So we're getting close. What do we have here? 1:26 here in our time. So that's like 3:26 in Peter's time. So it must be getting close. But it still looks bright on the camera. Like it looks really bright still. Okay, so I went to the Watchtower and I was punching in eclipses, and I wanted to know what the Watchtower thought of eclipses. So they just kind of talk about it like the science end of it, pretty much. I don't think I found questions from the readers. Was the darkness reported at Mark 15 and 33, when it became the 6th hour and darkness fell over all the land until the 9th hour? That was when Jesus died. that occurred while Jesus was on the torture stake, was that the result of a solar eclipse? That's what the Watchtower questioned from the readers. I thought it was a good one. Now, I read through it and they say no, was not a solar eclipse. They said in the Watchtower that God made it happen. God did something. So God either blocked it, maybe had an angel block it. I don't know. The moon's blocking it, but the inspired writers of God present matters in such a way to accredit God with the darkness. And over the years, certain commentators have tried to provide scientific explanations of it by saying that a solar eclipse happened to coincide with Jesus' impalement. However, Jesus died on Passover Day of 33 CE, and it's widely recognized at the time of Passover, full moon or normal solar eclipse is astronomically impossible because the moon is not between the sun and the earth at that time, but is on the other side of the earth, away from the sun. So additionally, the darkness lasted 3 hours from 12 noon to 3 p.m., but a total solar eclipse seldom lasts in one location more than 2 or 3 minutes. So it's estimated that under the most favorable conditions, the maximum duration of such an eclipse would be 7.5 minutes. So the darkness associated with Jesus' impalement cannot be explained as resulting from a natural eclipse of the sun, caused when the moon comes between the earth and the sun in such a way as to blot out the sun to the human view. So that's what the Watchtower says, and I would agree with it. You know, the Watchtower doesn't always say the wrong stuff, guys. You know, we've said in other videos, you know, for something to be poison, it only has to be 0.000% poison, like arsenic in your water. You don't need much of it to kill you, but the rest is just pure water, you know, and or logic. You know, it's funny how the Watchtower really uses some good logic here, but they have to, and they want to appear as science teachers in a way, and that's how they actually get a lot of people into the organization because they do a lot of this research. Watchtower, a lot of good research. There's a lot of researchers. These researchers work in there. They call it the writing committee, and the Watchtower has all these people in there working for the writing committee.
Hey, Bert.
Yeah.
Mark Weatherill left a comment saying you should have called this solar eclipse. What does the Bible say?
Yeah. Okay, here, I'm going to move this screen over so I can see that screen. Okay, I'm going to there. There, I'm going to present the screen again, the Eclipse. It's coming back. There we go. There, that's not bad. You can see it right there. Now I was looking, I can show my other screens here too. I think I got through all of my questions here. I was on the Watchtower one here, but the eclipse happened to coincide. Yeah, we covered all that. Yes, so the eclipse, I would agree with the Watchtower on that one, that if you look at the times of the equinoxes, the eclipse physically couldn't happen. So we know that the Bible account would have to be something else caused the eclipse. God, Jesus. Okay, so we're gonna watch the eclipse for a while here. I'm gonna actually move off the screen here. Give you a full screen. Can you guys hear me still in the background? I think you can. Yeah. Hmm. I think I covered all my questions. Can you guys hear me? Samson lost his strength because of the eclipse. Really? Oh, the eclipse. Because he got his hair clipped. That was a good one. Okay, let's we got time here. Let's go right to the top. Mark. I don't know if Mark is on still, but he was the first guy on. Hello from the UK. No eclipse there. It's not scheduled there. So you get to watch it with us. It'll be over by the time we get going. No, it's not supposed to be over here until a bit. Oh, look at the sun's doing something on the screen. Do you notice that? It's pulsating. It's getting smaller. Here it is, guys. Here's the eclipse. There it is. Wow, it's going out. Did you guys see how much that went out? So we're at what time are we at? $1:34, so 3:35. Jackie Jacks. What a boring end of the world. Okay. Mark says hallelujah. Well, that was the other thing. The Bible says the sun went dark for a couple of hours, but here it'll only be a few minutes. Yeah, there's cloud cover in New York. Haywood, good entrance. We're gonna skydive out too. That's because we're leaving from New Brunswick. There, we had to skydive in. Been enjoying the clips from Mexico, but been looking forward to tonight's feed. Brilliant, thanks. Thanks for joining us. Evans, Virginia Evans, McAllister. Okay, so we have. Is that a what? Star? I don't know. Cindy Lynn, not much to see. People are losing their minds. They are. But this only happens every so often. So it's just kind of an event. It's like going to the July 4th fireworks, or if you're in Canada, it's July 1st. Hello, Cindy Lynn. Hello, Jennifer. Great view from the backyard. I've been watching for an hour. It will be full here in 13 minutes. JW Borg. John Marciano, a sign for the org. We're just kind of playing with that a bit. We're not sign givers. But it was all just kind of interesting. The Ramapo, I covered that Ramapo earthquake, and that was actually quite interesting. On yesterday, I believe I covered it. But that just happened, that Ramapo earthquake. They've never had an earthquake over. They didn't have it registered. This is what was unique about it. For all the technology that they have in the world, they couldn't predict that one. And that was a shallow one. And it was just right over that. The epicenter was over the Ramapo, over the Watchtower, basically. Because the Watchtower is spread out over through that whole area. So what are we doing with it? We're just playing with it. It's nothing. It's just coincidence. And then the sun will be darkened over Ramapo. It's all just a coincidence, right? That's what I think. But it's funny how, as people, we look for omens and things like that. But I'm not looking for omens. I don't follow omens. So it was just, I hope I didn't deliver it that way. It was kind of more of a satire, maybe. Yeah. This is it. So we're looking at this this happen right in front of us. Very rare event. Looks like it's getting brighter now. So we already had, it already went out, right? So it's getting brighter now. Isn't that what it looks like to you? Yeah. So we'll be able to replay that, but play it and fast forward. But it looks like it's probably going the other way. Pete might put his welding glass lens in front of it, and it probably looks different under it. You know, if they're saying that the animals notice something, I don't know. I thought it would have went right out and been dark. You know, sometimes these things aren't as big of a deal as they're supposed to be. Here? Yeah, in our location, 23%. But where Pete is, it should be 100%. New Brunswick. Well, now we're looking at something. Oh, there's Pete. We'll turn him on. So what do you think, Pete? Did it get dark there? Was that it? Was
That's over. That was pretty wild. It was. I don't understand why the camera wouldn't pick it up with the filters. But what I don't understand is even when it was showing, I couldn't take a picture of it. Nothing. It was like totally, and it was like 95% covered, but it's still on my camera. It looked like it was a full sphere. I don't understand any of that, but it was pretty cool to watch.
So it got dark there? That's it. Peter's gone. Our feed's gone. So he said it was pretty cool. So You can see the whole video on his channel. I'm going to show you guys his channel here. Just to let me get that up here. WatchMe Tower. Okay, so thanks to WatchMe Tower. This is he's got the solar eclipse right on his channel there. Live. It's like the first live he's done. And he's got some videos, I think. Bunch of videos. 47 videos. So if you haven't subscribed to WatchMe Tower, he's part of the community here, an active member of the community. We see him all the time on the lives, and he does some excellent videos. This one here, Jesus is a Friend of Mine. That was funny. I can't play it. I had a copyright strike on the last time I played it, and I had to strip all the music out.
He's in our chat now, and I gave him the StreamYard.
Oh, he can come right in. So Pete can come in. So he's on our chat. But anyways, this is a very cool song. Jesus is a Friend of Mine. First time I heard of it was right here. Pete comes up with some funny stuff. So yeah, so that's great. I'm going to move forward here. There we go. Okay, so thank you again, WatchMe Tower, for doing that for us. So Pete was saying that you couldn't see the whole eclipse. Yeah, the camera. I'm just pulling up. I had another screen here. I was looking at that. Spec points out in videos that even at 99.9% partial eclipse, still there's at least 100 times more light coming from the sun than during totality. And even if you're in the path, don't expect the darkness to last too long. Totality may only last a couple of minutes in some areas. So we did see it. The sun dimmed. It did dim on the camera quite a bit, but you're not going to get the same thing. Now, here's some of the stuff I'm seeing. I thought it would be like kind of like this here look, but that's not how it is. It's kind of more like this, maybe. Maybe this is what Pete's seen. I don't know. If he's on, he could come on and talk to us if he wants. These are some of the pictures. So it's going to look different in different areas, I guess.
He said that's what it looks like.
Like this one? Or that one? You see there, it's just a speck in front of the sun on that one. You notice? There. How dark will it get? So you see the little speck in front of the sun there on this picture? Let me blow that up. There. That's probably what he's seen, more of that. Yeah. Okay, so who do we have? We have MJ. Hello, MJ. Welcome. If you, most of our people online know MJ. I really like that that last video you did. Man, did that ever get a lot of hits, MJ. Really good video. Some of the YouTube creators that are coming up into YouTube, I notice, just doing some really fabulous work. And there's a lot. The whole XJW community is growing vastly. This is a growing community, a thriving community. And we were looking, was it yesterday or today? Yesterday, there was 4 lives on the go at any given time. 4 lives. You could pick and choose. You could hop between lives. You could be on all of them. The community is growing, and that's just here in, in the English speaking, the Spanish speaking communities are growing. The channels are growing in the Spanish. There's a lot happening in the Spanish communities regarding the Jehovah's Witness Association. They have that association to help the victims, right? Because Watchtower members sued them because they made some statements or something. Watchtower is trying to sue everyone, so it's interesting. So hello, Pete. We got you on the camera here. Thanks for thanks for having us, letting us join you on your.
I didn't know if anybody watched it or what, but it looked wild. Like I don't understand why the camera didn't pick anything up, because even now it's still well covered, but it was like 95% covered. But on the camera, it still looked like it was whole, and it went dark here for over 3 minutes. In the because there's a lot of snow here, you could see the waves like going across the snow, like as it started to get dark. And then when it got dark, it's been beautiful here all day, but when it got dark, it got cold. Like the cold came in like after.
Really?
But it was like that circle ring thing, and then afterwards it came up, so it looked like the ring. It looked wild. Like I never seen anything like that. I went right.
So we were looking at some of the pictures here. Let me just pull this up here.
I didn't really look. Like I was down the road and stuff. I didn't really.
Let me do this.
And I figured a lot of people would put the filters on it, but I don't know. I just thought that's all I had was that camera. So, and I did try to put some glass and stuff up against it, but that just didn't work. I tried
like those rings.
It looked exactly like that. That center one, it stayed like that center thing for like 3 minutes plus. It was like totally dark.
Like this one?
No, the middle one. Well, it started at like that, but it went through all of them. Like, but it didn't quite even do. It did like the middle one, but it kind of
like this one.
Like it came in and then it went to the middle for a while, and then it kind of went out the other way. Like, and it was kind of like almost like straight up, but
you notice how there's a little dot there? Was it like that little dot?
Well, I could see the dot sometimes because I have like, okay, so this is the glasses that they give you. Like they got.
Oh yeah.
And I don't like these because they had the reflecting on the. Like I didn't like that. I just used the welding glass.
Yeah, that's what we do.
It's about 15, but with the 5, you're not really supposed to look at it with 5. But I looked at it. I just looked at it with no glasses.
Well, you'd see it really clear with your welding glasses, wouldn't you?
And that was the thing, because I could see it like half an hour or more, even an hour. I started to see the moon coming across. With this, I could see it, but without the glasses, I couldn't see it. That's why I don't.
No, it was bright, eh? Yeah,
but it was still. And I understand the brightness about what I don't understand is why did it still kind of display as a circle? Like I could understand it still being bright, but when I looked at it with the camera, it's still for the whole. It always looked like a circle. It never went to the. I don't understand that.
You're almost done. Click the download in the top right to continue.
I don't want to download anything.
I can't see that.
Got to watch what you click, eh? Okay, I was just looking at these, how bright it was. So that was great. That's did it look that dark?
Oh yeah. That's why I don't understand why it didn't translate to the camera. Like it didn't even have those 2 dots on top. It was just like a total
darkness.
Yeah, like the one underneath it there. It was perfect. It was like that for 3 minutes.
Wow.
Minutes. But I'm right in the center of like they have the dark zone. I'm like literally right in the center of the dark zone. Like so I had a pretty good shot.
Yeah.
But man, a lot of people are scared of it. I don't know. I think it's like everything else. There's good and bad in everything. If you're a bad guy and you read the Bible, you're gonna be bad. If you're a good guy, you read the Bible, you're gonna be good. It's all like that. It's just,
yeah.
A lot of people are putting a lot of fear into but I think too with the fear, I think they're just played it up. They knew there was going to be
that.
They.
Who?
They, the government, or whoever's running the show, I don't know, the crazies. There was a lot of hype, like there's cops here. I never seen cops for
really.
There's 3 cop cars up at where they're doing the little
viewing. Like, what the hell? They haven't paid the cops here for years, so the cops don't patrol here anymore. Haven't did that for
Well,
years.
it changes the energy, right? The energy, it's excitement. We know it's coming here, so it's something new. It's very rare. Like in New Brunswick, what was it, 1865? They seen it last in New York. That's a lot of time, long time ago. So it's not your kids aren't going to see this. Your grandchildren, maybe again
Well,
in
you're
New
right.
Brunswick.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm just starting to have my kids now. I gotta
So it's rare.
find my wife first, and then the kids. Then we'll worry about my grandchildren.
But you got to share it with the world a bit. We got to see it on what the computer could see.
I didn't think anybody was watching it because it said like 1 or 0. It said 0 actually watchers, so that's why I ended it. I didn't think anybody was watching it. I didn't realize you were watching. I didn't want to go check out your channel because I didn't want to
Wreck it.
Yeah, I didn't want to stop if you were watching it. So
Yeah, good for you.
I was
Well, 26 people were watching it on our channel, and they knew they were watching your channel. So I just kind of was I wasn't even going to do a show today, and then you came on. We were watching the clips, and my wife says, "Well, why don't you just ask him if you can cue into it?" That's why we asked you. Eh? And then I thought, well, I could read a bunch of stuff. You know, I don't mind reading stuff. And then I got reading all this stuff, and it was quite interesting. Columbus there was fooling the natives in Jamaica. He knew the solar eclipse was coming, and he said, "Okay, the solar eclipse is coming, so you guys better all bow down to me." And sure enough, it came. And so, man, he had the whole tribe worshiping him. That's the story. That's what it led with. If that happened or not, you don't know if half this stuff is just stories, right?
Okay, so what about the fault line? You seen that stuff? There's a fault line that kind of follows the two paths. There's like double faults.
Ramapo, the Ramapo fault
I
line.
think they're calling it Ramapo because it like goes right through Ramapo.
It does. The Ramapo, it crosses basically on the Watchtower's headquarters, right in the middle there, and the Watchtower's all around there, like
They call it the
watching
Watchtower Golden Triangle because it's all Warwick and Patterson and Wallkill all like in this like triangle, and it's all right in the fault zone. I laughed. See, isn't that kind of like the tarot cards?
It's kind of it's very interesting.
It's
I'm
almost
seeing
like
if I can pull that up here. Holy smack! They put out a lot of articles. Watchtower.
Look what just came in the mail. I'm so excited. This is my Survival Fresh can.
Okay.
it's still dark out here a bit. Like I can still tell it's
Really? It's dark there?
not dark, but it's not full sun. Like
Do you think the moon's still in front of it?
yeah, it's probably still like over halfway in front of it. Okay, it's probably like 1/3 still. It's 1/3
Really?
on the top side.
Huh.
But that's what's weird.
Interesting.
With my camera, but 1/3 of the light is not coming through because it's being blocked. But I can tell.
Cameras do different things, right?
And the snow is doing something too because it's all snow here. I can see the waves. The waves are coming across the snow. It's really odd.
Weird, eh? Huh. Because it's sunny out in the background. Maybe it's just the way the sun's reflecting. So this is showing that Tuxedo Park. This is the Watchtower headquarters. There it is. So that's the map WatchMe Watchtower did. So you have the Ramapo over here. And then they show it on the geographical map here. But the epicenter's right here. You got Tuxedo Bethel up here. You got World Headquarters down here, Warwick. The Media Center, that new media, it's all right here. This is the epicenter right by Highway 87, right here. That's where the earthquake is. So then we go further to show the breaks where the earthquake actually. And then it's such a rare, like they didn't know it existed there. They
Well,
totally caught all the earthquake.
they
There's a
found it,
Ramapo fault line.
and they literally call it like the Ramapo fault line. Like, isn't that funny if you consider that with like tarot cards, where it's literally a watchtower shaking? It's like literally like is that
I wonder if they haven't talked about it. Has anybody online that lives in that area did the ground shake a bit? It wasn't a big earthquake, 4.8, big enough though, and it was shallow, they said. So
I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they could do earthquakes and they were just doing that. It was all because all of a sudden they just found these weird fault lines, and I think it's like heavy or something. It's not like a fault. It's like it's the gravity something. It's like an X.
what's that?
Well, where the fault line is on, it's like this big fault line that goes right down, and there's another one that goes like the other way. They found it back.
Yeah, I seen that on that news.
The only
So
weird,
hello from Texas, eh? You guys got Texas seen the same thing you've seen? It swept over. They've seen the full eclipse, Texas. Vintage. Oh, I'm a way down. I got to go to new comments. No earthquake. Okay, no earthquake there. Underground war.
hey, maybe
No earthquake there. I don't know. Was there? I wonder who lives in that New York area, if they felt anything in that Ramapo area. They must have, because the news agencies were there. It was a big deal. So it hit the news, right? What's this one? People have to wake up there. There's much more happening to the end of this. Yeah, this is an interesting one on Brumley. Brumley's in court. Philip Brumley. In May, he's going to court to hear out why he lied to the courts. And it shows that he lied. Yeah, he lied in Montana there. He's going to court for that. They appeal everything, right? And then they got to go back to court. So we'll see what happens.
I stop with a lot of the XJW stuff. I still watch your show. I still watch stuff once in a while.
A lot of garbage, eh?
Well, I
just crazy.
I'm trying to be more positive. You know what I mean? I want to build something positive. I don't know what I'm doing in the future, but
Well, you know, the XJW community is kind of like a interim process when you're waking up. You come into it, you wake up, get angry.
go crazy. That's what my friend said. I don't know what the heck happened with Peter, but he kind of lost his mind a little bit.
Why?
Me?
Who said that? You
No,
when?
I still talk to the brothers still. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Your Kingdom Hall there, up there, yeah. No, I think it's about recovering. This is all about recovering. We're on here doing, like, I do videos every day because that's what I'm supposed to do right now.
And
it's not going to be forever.
That's why I like to support you. I don't like
You
a
know,
lot. You guys seem to want to have to love all the XJWs, and some of them that I actually do not like at all. I don't feel like I got to apologize for not liking certain people. Like Watchtower created a lot of friggin' predator jackasses. So when they come out and they get kicked out of Watchtower and they're still friggin' jackasses, why should I like them just because now they're an XJW? I like more JWs than I like XJWs, to be honest with you.
well, you know, I personally myself, I don't associate with anybody except people online. So you're online, you know, I associate with you. You know, MJ was on here. We got to talk to him.
I like MJ, guys. I like Joe and Fran.
Joe and Fran, yeah. So it's you know, do I know XJ? Do I have meetups here with any? No, I don't. And I don't know that I'm interested too much. You know, I do know some JWs around here that got DF'd and stuff like that for certain reasons. But am I going to reach out to them? No, you know, they weren't part of my circle of friends before. I had some friends that were fringe. You know how some JWs live on the fringe.
Right.
They I had one friend that would say to me, he said, "Yeah, I'm like a circuit overseer. I go to the meetings every 6 months." So, you know, he's like a circuit overseer, eh? They show up every 6 months. And you know, some people do show up when the circuit overseer shows up, and then you never see them, right? I had some friends like that, and they're most of the time really good. Well, you know, the friends I chose, they were good people. They seemed balanced and didn't seem overly righteous. You know, so we associated. But then there come a time, it seemed like in 2018, I don't know, Watchtower put out all those talks. And then if you're not part of them, you're not with them. And then all of a sudden, no one's talking to you, right? And I don't know if it's 2018 or just circumstantial on my end, but that can happen too. So, but I don't think they're trying to do that anymore. I think they have a mandate to pull people in and to try to, plug the leaks in their ship. They scared too many people away. Now they're trying to get them back.
So
Would I go back? No. You know, I have no interest in going back. For some people, maybe it's the thing. They may, people need association. People are lonely. Maybe for them, they want to go back, visit their grandchildren or something if they're older or younger, whatever. Different. Everyone has their own journey. Everyone's on their own journey, and it's not up to any of us to dictate what someone's journey should be like. Like your journey is going to be a little bit different than my journey. What we do have in common is we came out of that cult and we woke up, right? That's what we have in common. We woke up out of a cult. I believe that we've been in the biggest cult in the world, like the most organized cult in the world. And is it the worst cult in the world? No, it's not the worst cult in the world, but people are dying over that cult. People with that blood thing is serious. It's serious. People are dying over that. Should they be? No. It's not life isn't about dying over listening to 9 Men in New York. That's not what life is about. Life is a journey. We have to find out, in our own case, what our journey's about. You know, I know for me, I spent 30 years in that religion. It wasn't all bad. There's lots of good times, lots of good people. Last meeting I went to was 2012. What about you, Pete? When was you go to the meeting still? You still go, right?
Just on Zoom. I haven't went physically for probably, it must be almost a year.
Oh yeah.
I'm not really sure because my boys said they left like 5 years ago. I thought it was like not even a year ago. So so it was probably around that time.
Yeah.
So I guess it's been probably, I'm not sure. If I look at my videos, because I made a few crazy videos at the start, probably a few months after I woke up or whatever.
Oh yeah, waking up is a process, and going through this XJW community is a process, and that's why there's estimated over a million XJWs out there, shunned, million shunned. Well, I don't know today if they're being shunned. All these JWs are calling all these shunned ones now, trying to get them back, right?
Right.
So, but they were shunned. There's over a million of them. A lot of us are still shunned. Is there a million of them on the community online? No, because people go through stages. They grow out of this. I think they grow out of it. Sometimes they don't grow out of it. They just don't even know about the YouTube XJW, or they tune into watch a video and maybe someone's really angry on the video and it scares them away. It did me. When I first started looking in 2 years ago, it scared me away. Then I went back and poked my head back in there and looked at a few more. And, I'd leave comments and no one would get back to you. No one ever returns your comments, right? So, and then for me, I started writing. I do a lot of writing. So I started writing that book and just writing it down. I got kind of really angry there for a bit, I think. Because everyone just quit associating with me for and then I couldn't get a reason. They kind of gave me a cease and desist letter. All I did was write a damn book and throw it online. That's all I did was write a book, right?
And you got their attention. They figured out who you were.
And the book was not even about them. I wrote a fictional damn book. It was just a journey to love. It was not even about them. They think everything's about them, right?
Right.
These guys. And so the elder that I knew, we're talking and he says, well, the Bible talks about the writers of many books. And I said, don't feed me that bullshit. I said, Rutherford wrote 37 books. Russell wrote 27 books. And your writing committee writes books every day. You think all those Watchtower and the Awakes aren't a bunch of books? That's all that is books upon books upon books. So don't give me crap over writing my story, Like I said, what do you have on me? What do you have that gives you permission to demonize and shun me and to spread that around, damage my name, damage my reputation? What do you have to back any of that? They have nothing. He could not produce me one scripture. Do you know what he next gave me? A cease and desist letter. Like that, they're cowards. Those elders are cowards. They are. They're cowards.
They always do that.
I would like to go to Bethel and sit down with these guys and tell me what the hell gives you permission to spread out and slander me so my kids won't even damn talk to me. That's serious for writing a book. That's not even about you guys. It's not even about them. So then finally they got my attention. I wrote a book about them. Yeah, my last book I wrote about them. And it was not a good part. It doesn't show them in a good light. It shows all their bullshit. That's what everyone writes about. Because that's what they instigate. You see, when they put out that energy, they're getting it all back. They're getting it back. Everything they put out, all that 100 years of going door to door and slamming the Catholics and slamming everyone, it's all coming back. All the other religions apologize. They won't apologize. It's all coming back. They've made the muddiest name on earth. I would be embarrassed to go anywhere and say, I'm a Jehovah's Witness. I would be so embarrassed. I used to be proud of that. I'm embarrassed. I'd be embarrassed. It's the muddiest name on earth. Dirty name.
Is it the same?
Filthy, rotten name. They've made it muddy and dirty. Hey?
Is it the same religion when we started it? I don't think so.
No, I started in the 80s, and back then it appeared righteous, but back then they were covering up pedophilia. Back then, it was a sheep. It was a sheep in a wolf in sheep's clothing. This religion, it's a cult. Because back then I had a baby that might have needed a blood transfusion, and I was at the. What are you going to do? We don't allow that, right? I signed a paper at the damn hospital. My kid could have died. That's why I'm so against this. People are dying over this cult.
Right.
Mothers are watching their babies die. And then when they need a blood transfusion, the mother takes it. I read an article the other day on that. It's terrible. So how can I go to a Kingdom Hall? No, I'm not even going to fake it. If I went in the Kingdom Hall, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I tell them the way I think. But the Kingdom Hall is not the place for me.
Right.
That's not where I go. I'll go in front of the news media or something. That's where I'll go. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to travel across Canada, see you. We're going to come out and see you. We don't know when, though.
Anytime.
We're not sure when. We're kind of just say, well, okay, God, you want us to do this? Sell our farm. So,
You said you were going to conventions. There's one in Moncton. I'm not sure when that one is.
well, we're going to sell our place here first. That's the first thing. And just ride the wave. You know, You know, if we plan to get out to see you this year, that's the plan. So we're not sure if it'll be in the fall, September, August, who knows? But we plan to come out there. And we do plan on hitting as many conventions along the way that we can that are available. We'll plan the best we can. And what we're going to advertise is simply XGW friends. You know, there's life outside of the religion.
Mhm.
You know, it's not the end of the world. I know, you know, it gets depressing if you're all alone. You have no friends. You have all this JW stuff in your head. You want to get rid of that shit, or even have someone to talk to about it. Right.
Right.
That's often a hard part. I had trouble with that. And I wouldn't even talk to my good wife. I didn't talk to her about this crap for 8 years. 8 years I held it inside. And then finally she says, get that shit out and write a book, write it down. So I did. I started writing.
Well, I told my wife, I suggested to my wife that we just sue the Watchtower because for one, my boy was like under 18 and I don't know how many hours they had him in the back room talking about his masturbation problem. Like they never once asked me to go in there. I'm like, that's against the law. Like you can't do that. My wife, they stopped studying with her because she smoked weed. But
how long ago was that?
You know, a few years back now, but
yeah, there's limitations on suits, and
no.
Watchtower has so many lawyers.
Yeah, no.
They'll break you. They'll break you.
I told her, I said, listen, we'll take him to court. I said, I'll pay for it all. I still had a fair bit of cash. And I said, I'll pay for it. They would lose. They would have to settle because they screwed up. Like they literally broke the law. Like they can't tell people to go against the doctor's orders. That's literally a criminal offense. So how are they gonna lie in court and say, oh no, we didn't say that? I know these guys.
They lie. They will lie.
Get it on record. I know the way courts works. I had to go to court for discharging a firearm, and the Rangers were big freaking liars. And I had to go to jail because they were liars, and I wouldn't pay my fine. So I know all about my word don't mean shit in court. So I got taped everything.
But it hurts, you know, and it's like an open wound. It's not healed. You feel like, you know, these guys, how do you talk to them about it? You can't. It's done with. I think, you know what I think could happen in the future is like, I think there could be where they do these big lawsuits. What do they call them? Class actions. So let's say in Canada, there's some class action lawsuit for that everyone can jump onto. You get your story in, and then they have to fight it, and then you get a payout. You know, that could happen, class action. But it'll be provincial, perhaps. There's something happening in Toronto right now, Ottawa, Ontario, Montreal. I think there's something going on, class action.
Right, but my wife was interested, so I just said whatever. I don't really care. I just said that for the boy. I said, listen, we can get the boy some help because he's so convinced he's committed this unforgivable sin. He's in this loop that he's so concerned that he's gonna die. Like, and I gotta say, these guys are clowns. Don't worry.
Well, is your boy still in it?
No, but he's still, you know, he knows they're full of crap, but he still is convinced.
Yeah.
He's done something so terrible that God can never forgive him.
Yeah.
I say that's bullshit.
Yeah, he just has to work his way out of it. You know, if he find out which doctrines are holding him captive, the truth. The truth holds people captive. They believe that word. They equate it to the religion. They've heard it so many times. We're brainwashed. It's embedded into the back part of our brains, subconscious.
That's what I figured out. If they repeat something a lot of times, it's not true.
It's a lie. It's a lie.
It's like the Bible.
If Satan's real, if this whole Satan game is real, that's how Satan works, right? He takes the lie and makes it look like the truth. So they're the lie. And then, you know, people that lie a lot, I don't know if you've been around liars. Have you ever been around liars? I've been around liars. Pathological liars, liars that are so good that they can convince everyone it's the truth. They convince themselves it's the truth. I've been around those types of people, but those people always throw out the person that's the biggest liar is going to tell everyone, I'm the truth, 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 I'm the life, I'm the way. Through me is the truth. We have the truth. Only through us can you find the truth. Oh, John 8:32, you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. You will know the Watchtower, and the Watchtower, we will clear it up for you. We will set you free from all those religious doctrines out there, because we have the truth. You see, that's how it was embedded into me back in the 80s from that old Blue Bomb truth book, right? It had they sold a lot of those truth books, and they were selling it back then. I don't know. How long were you in this cult for?
I started studying when I think I was around 19 or 20.
Yeah.
I didn't get baptized until I was like 30. And then now I'm like 50s too, I think. So I was baptized for 20 years. 20 something around.
Yeah.
No, I think actually 20 years. I think it was 2003, 21.
So you've been in it for a long time.
But I studied for 10 years before that. I studied with 10 different brothers studied with me. And I thought it was the truth right away, right?
Yeah.
So I just kind of just delayed to get baptized.
Everyone has a different journey, but so many people are still, they might be fringe. They still think it's the truth.
Or
It's
they're
that
out.
word.
Or
It's,
they're out.
it's the way that word is used in the cult. So if we get right out of it, we realize, oh yeah, this is a cult. It's an organized cult, very organized cult, and it's a cult religion, a sect, if you want to call it that, sect, cult. I like the word cult because it is a cult. It's a high control cult. Fits the bite model. And we didn't really look at this stuff back in the 80s. It wasn't, we didn't have the research back then. Today there's lots of psychology on Jehovah's Witnesses and on cult programming and indoctrination. So once we get out of the cult, we realize that, holy smacks, they really did a job with the word truth. When you read the Bible says Jesus is truth, right? It doesn't say that any religion on earth is the truth. So, when I started looking at the Bible just for what it says, and the Bible's so clear. So if Jesus is the truth, the way, the life, then that scripture in John 8:32 that they take out of context, they say, you'll know the truth will set you free. Remember that? You'll know the religion will set you free.
Okay, so here's where I am now. Okay, so when I first started waking up, I started by reading all the old books, right? Russell's, right? Because they got rid of those books, so I figured it would be a hit, right? And one of the first things I latched onto was the whole pyramid thing.
Right.
I was calling it pyramid, Matt, but the funniest thing is now I'm like full circle. I'm thinking Jesus ain't real. The pyramid is the faithful witness. Like I'm like literally, I think they've hijacked all these things like this eye and the thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's not them. The reset, that's not them. The swastika, that's not, all this stuff is so much older than they just hijacked all this stuff, plagiarized it.
Everyone is.
I know that as a creator, that's what I was doing. I was like, I was taking people's content, making my own, and I realized that's all they did twice. And they've made this whole kind of thing. But I'm actually back to believing now that the whole pyramid thing is possibly the witness. Whatever's going on, it's not the Jesus crowd. It's not the Jew crowd. It's not the Muslim. That's all they created, all these things to kind of come out and top, right? So that's where I'm back at the beginning, kind of at the pyramid, looking at that and saying, hey, I think there's something to this. And even with like tarot cards and stuff, like I've been reading cards. I'm not getting my cards read, but I'm looking at how to read cards. And that stuff's real, like the numbers.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I watched
numbers. Everything's numbers, eh?
Okay, so I watched that Archaics Jason guy. He's pretty good. He's the history guy, and then he's been linked with there's that other guy there. He does the numbers guys, but there's a lot of them. It's all one thing that Jason says is if something's true, you're going to be able to see the truth from different ways. if your truth is only based on one viewpoint, then it's probably not true. You're probably getting scammed, or it's probably a con. But so the real truth should be visible through all these things, through the astrology, through the stars. Even the Bible talks about the signs and the sun and the moon and the stars, and you know what I mean.
I have fun with a lot of that. I have fun with a lot of that stuff. I don't know. I can read the Bible. I've read it for so many years. So I use it. That Bible tool I use, you put a question in. It's interesting. It's a book of the Bible. You can take it a lot of ways. You know, people use it like a sword. JWs use it like a sword, stab people with it.
It's good, or it's like a lot of other things. It's good or bad. It's the same as the cards. It's good or bad, but it depends upon the person. I think if you're a scammer, then you're going to be a scammer with it. Like if you're a greedy person or chasing women, that's what you're going to get out of it. If you're
okay, here's an interesting. What do I have here? Right here. Here's my library. You see it on the screen?
Yeah, well, part of it's black, but
okay. This book. Can't see it, eh?
no, let's go through. Their birthdays.
Yeah, you ever see that?
No.
It's a great big thick book. You know how JWs are against birthdays, right?
Right.
So I'm at the landfill about 2 years ago. At the landfill, you know landfill dump where you haul your garbage.
Yeah.
So they have big bins, big blue bins. You back up with your truck.
Right.
And I'm looking in there, and we have a like a garage sale market.
Right.
My wife and I.
That's what I do.
And we just fix this. I'm going to get rid of this background. None. There. That's better. Okay. Then you can see the book. See?
So what does it have like?
I found this in the land. Well, there's a whole pile of books. Someone dumped their whole library in the landfill.
Right.
And so I loaded all these books up, and we sold most of them at the market. So I kept this one. It's birthdays, right? And there's 365 birthdays in it.
Right.
So all you need is your month and your day, and it's a page, right? And it's all based on those cards and stuff like that. And I was amazed when I read mine, what I'm like. Like these guys, I don't know who these guys are, but it's interesting. When I come out to see you, I'll bring this book. It's a very interesting book, but it nails your personality. It nails it, and it shows that every personality has a dark side and a light side.
That's what I think. I think it's almost like you got this personality, and now it's your choice. And it's not like everybody's all either just good or just bad. It's almost like you gotta navigate, and maybe.
So what month are you born? What month are you born?
September 13th.
Here it is, September 13th.
I'm the Jack of Clubs for my card.
Okay, you're the day of the passionate care. And it shows all the famous people born on this day. And then it shows numbers, planets, tarot, 13th card of the major arcana. Your strengths are intense, devoted, and persevering. That's your strengths. And your weaknesses are off track, hardened, and unaware, which means nothing to me, but means something to you.
Right.
So
that card, I figured out that card, but I did it a different way, and I was like the 19th card. But it was there's like different kind of ways to figure out what's the.
This actually says some great things about your personality. It says those born on September 13th bring their full powers to bear on the job at hand. So that means when you do something, you're pretty dedicated. And it says blessed with a remarkable level of concentration and resilient determination, they may face great obstacles to their success, but not for a moment will the outcome be in doubt for them. Indeed, some born on this day seem to believe that they have a magical ability to surmount any difficulty. yet they are not particularly superstitious or disposed to the physical explanations for what they do. Theirs is straight ahead, no nonsense approach. The more exceptional of September 13th people can, however, handle such difficult, complex, and manifold tasks that others marvel at how they are able to accomplish what they do. Does that sound like you?
I wonder sometimes, is all that sound like, if you read another one, does that sometimes sound like
Well,
you? Or?
I'll read you mine. I'll read you mine. I'll read you the first. That was the first paragraph of you. There's a bunch of other paragraphs. It says,
though I actually believe that. Like, I honestly
like if I read you mine won't make any sense to you, but to me it just bang on.
Right.
And I read yours. I'm just reading words. That's all I think I'm reading. But to you, it'll resonate. Does it? Does this resonate with you? Absolutely. Yeah, it does. Doesn't resonate with me at all. Not at all with me. Nothing here resonates with me. So I'm going to read on just to see if it resonates with you. It says, often your type of people, born on your day, September 13th, they strongly support certain ideas and causes, but later realize they have been a bit off track. And because of their sincerity and dedication, however, they gain the respect of others, even though who vehemently oppose them and feel that what they are is doing is harmful. So at a certain point in their lives, those born on this day may change direction dramatically at one stroke, setting out toward new horizons. And once on this path, however, they will continue on it until a bitter or happy end. And no one can dissuade them once they have made their mind up about something. Although for the time being, they may not mark the time for the sake of diplomacy, not wanting to cause undue upset. Now, that does not resonate with me. I do not see anything in there that resonates with
me. Right, it describes me. Right?
Is that you? That's you, eh? That's not a bad thing. You just get to understand you, but we are all in this construct, right? We're all in this world. It's made. And there's 365 days in a year. We're born on one of those days. So we're going to have similarities because all the stars and shit out there, the magnetics, is there when we're born, and we're all born on that day. So we harmonize similarly. And this, I thought this was fascinating. This is all based on star shit.
So a lot of this stuff.
How does it do that? Hey?
We were never allowed to look at this stuff, or it was evil.
No, not as JWs. This is the first time I look. You want here? I'll read you mine. Mine's October 24. It won't even resonate with you, but to me, it makes sense. It's who I am. So those born on October 24 have two major themes in their lives. That of dramatic revelations and discoveries on the one hand, and painstaking attention to detail on the other. And as they are hardly cold, analytical types, those born on this day generally feel the need to reveal themselves and their discoveries to the world, often in an exciting and even flamboyant way. Yet most are not exhibitionists by any means, rather craftspeople and professionals who take their work very seriously, particularly from a technical point of view. The influence they work on those who watch or listen to them is calculated to impact as they wish. Not the least of their talents is a personal magnetism which aids in getting people interested in them and what they do. October 24th, people can be highly controlling personalities who dominate their family life or social circles. Those strongly assertive types who usually have something to say, they can sometimes say still more through silence. So indeed, they often feel that the quality of what they do speak of for itself, with no need for added promotion or to give it credits. So that's the first two paragraphs of mine.
So you see, and you're right, it doesn't speak to me like it speaks to you. So that's kind of what I wondered. Like, I'm like, is this just kind of like speaks everything they make if I read it? But you're right, that doesn't.
Well, when you read horoscopes in the newspaper, yes. They all seem like I could read any horoscope in the newspaper and it seems like it could apply to anybody, right?
Right.
But this stuff is very particular. And I don't really read. Okay, I'm getting a correction here. Okay, well, if you guys want yours done, I'll read your first 2 paragraphs. Throw it in the column. December 17th, is that the one? But just to finish up our conversation, so what I read to you about me, nothing resonated with you, did it, for you?
No, you're right.
But you could look at me, because I get on YouTube every day, you see that I have something to say.
Right.
Obviously, I think I've always been like that my whole life. I can't stop it. I can't turn that off. It just,
so what does that mean? It's almost like we're just all playing. It's almost like the world is a stage and we're just playing.
yeah, you and I are going to have some really good conversations when I come out and see you.
So we get our part, but we just got to decide where we're going to kind of we learned that. That's why I don't get upset. I don't tolerate stuff, but I don't want
You should hear Rutherford. You want to hear something weird? Rutherford, the founder of this religion. Right. You want to hear what his day is like? It's not good. It's the worst one in this whole book.
Really?
Rutherford. I'll read it to you, and then I'll do culty talk. It's in the same area. So Rutherford is November 8th.
Not Russell, Rutherford II.
Rutherford. This religion is designed upon Rutherford. It's a Rutherford religion. Rutherfordites. The Russellites actually split off. They actually there's about 7 different religions out there now that came from the Russellites. So, but here's Rutherford. November 8th people are often drawn to areas of human experience which others would consider dubious, questionable, or shadowy. Those born on this day are just not cut out to walk the straight and narrow. Although they present a norm, effect, or appearance, after a time one discovers that their tastes and interests are quite weird, perhaps even bizarre. Those born on November 8th are concerned with exploring the limits of the human experience and continually pushing them back. Their lifestyle or orientation to the world can indeed prove upsetting to those who prefer to live with carefully controlled parameters. And most November 8th people pursue their occupations and interests with a dedication that amounts to a mania. So you think of Rutherford, he was a maniac when it went to writing. He wrote 37 books. His wife left him when he became president. She couldn't live with him. It says their powers of concentration are usually great, but they can drive themselves as well as friends, lovers, and family crazy unless they learn to temper their intensity and relax. So Rutherford was an alcoholic. That's what he had to do to relax. His mind was so wild. Indeed, November 8th people should more often indulge in the simple pleasures and reduce some of the complexities that they engender in their lives. So here's a guy that has that personality, and he goes to jail. He goes up against the U.S. government. He's right up against them with sedition, goes to jail, loses a lung because of the dampness. He's pissed off every day of his life. So if you want to talk about a pathway for the devil to get in, it's anger. The devil will get into your psyche, and whatever you want to call the devil, or the negative thinking. So if you all have all this negative thinking in your psyche, well, you're going to produce negative thinking. So he came out of that prison producing a religion that was so powerful. He had so many people backing him, and he was so flamboyant as a speaker. He's a powerful speaker. He did what he shouldn't be doing with this personality. He did everything he shouldn't do with this kind of a personality. He made a cult, and he made a cult that hated the governments and hated every religion out there because it was a Catholic judge that put him in prison. And so we have Jehovah's Witnesses today, this great big religion formed from this one guy's anger in prison. But that's Rutherford. There's a good side to everyone. The strength of this individual on this day, just because you're born on a day doesn't mean
he's bad.
Like Rutherford That personality style is a strong personality. So here's its strengths: deep, serious, and success oriented. So that's the strength of that person, that individual on that day. Deep, serious, and success oriented. So Rutherford was success oriented. He built a religion. He was deep. He got into the Bible, and he built a religion based on the Bible. That's pretty deep. Making 1914 work, some of that stuff. I'd never understand it. Serious. Well, he was the most serious guys. He would look at, he would challenge anybody, Rutherford, and everyone backed down. He wouldn't show his cards. He was a poker player. So here's his weaknesses.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a poker player.
His weaknesses are he's addictive, troubled, and disturbing. That's the worst weaknesses in this book that I've read, is that one and that's Rutherford. So are you sure you want to have yours read? Because this could be, whoever wants this read, this is what it is. So some people want theirs read December 17th, I've seen. It won't be like Rutherford, I guarantee you. The strength of that person is dependable, stable, and structured. And the weaknesses is earthbound, claiming, and abrupt. So December 17th, they're concerned with underlying structure of things. Earthly individuals, they are very body-oriented and bound to practical considerations. What is substantive? What is substantive and solid in life interests them. So what's, they're interested in what's substantial or solid. These types of people, right? And that which is flighty, superficial, or fanciful does not impress them. They don't like that. So those born in this day live in the here and the now, and they want to know how things around them work. So that's why they get pissed off at the Watchtower. You get out of the Watchtower and you realize you've been fooled. These types of people live in the here and the now. And if they've been fooled, they want to know why. So similarly, they tend to judge people on the basis of their actions and what they produce. December 17th, people usually limit their philosophical speculations to what they can see, touch, taste, feel, and smell. They are pragmatists who think less about motives and more about cause and effect. And for them, what is not present has little meaning, except, of course, as a goal toward which they can bend their physical energies, ideas, and creativity. And because of their capacity to concentrate on the matter at hand, they can accomplish a great deal without wandering off the track. So these would be good people to have on your team working with you. Now, they're dependable, stable, and structured. Earthbound, claiming, and abrupt. So you want people that tells you how it is. I like those types of people. Not everyone does, but I do. I like to hear it. I don't want to waste my time. So anybody else? These aren't cards. This is just a book. It's a birthday book, they call it. The Secret Language of Birthdays. It's made by I read this to one guy. I found it in the dump, and I was talking to the guy that I was buying solar systems or solar stuff off of. And I said, hey, I found this in the dump, and I read him his thing, and he was so impressed. He went on to Amazon and bought the book that day because he has employees, and he says, if I could get into the minds of all the employees, I would know how to use my employees to my benefit. Because some people, you know how you want to make someone a manager, but they shouldn't be managers, but they would be good over here just doing the same thing every day. This book will tell you what those people are like. Is there 2 other dates here? December 10th is another one. Gail, and what was the other date? Okay, so December 10th. So we did December 17th. I appreciate feedback. Did we nail it, Culty Talk? Oh yeah, she said, wow, that's totally me. We did Culty Talks here. She said, wow, that's totally me. It didn't resonate. Did it resonate with you, Pete? I was just reading
that
words.
was something I wondered about, because I'm looking at this stuff and I wonder, and
You know, it's like reading the cards. I keep reading the cards and they keep saying the same thing over and over and over again. I'm like, the heck?
So I'm just reading 2 paragraphs, like there's 2 pages of stuff, but I'll December 10th, we'll do that one. It's the day of inner fervor. The day of, that's what it's the theme. These all have a theme too, eh? Then it shows all the people that are born on that day. Emily Dickinson, she's a poet. She wrote over 1,000 poems, anonymously published, but a few. Mathematicians, inventors, journalists, spiritual teachers, Indian spiritual teachers. So there's a whole column on other people that are born that day. And you can see if you have any similarities to those people. Now, the strengths of this personality on December 10th is inwardly calm, appreciative, and spiritual. Wow. So there's a good candidate to be a JW. There's the type of person we want to get on the JW team, right? If you knew this information as an elder. Anyways, the strengths is inwardly calm, appreciative, and spiritual. And the weaknesses is inscrutable and reclusive. Inscrutable and inclusive. I don't even know what that word means, inscrutable. Like some of the words in here, you need a dictionary. Okay, so whoever's December 10th, they will know what those words mean. I'm just going to read some words. That's how this works. Those born on December 10th tend to internalize their feelings and proceed through life modestly, convinced of their worth. If they draw attention to themselves, it is most likely to strengthen their message or to further their cause. Conceit, pride, arrogance, and egotism at times seem unknown to these individuals whose greatest desire is to serve others. Rarely, however, do others understand the depth of December 10th emotions, which are an extremely private affair, not easily shared. Indeed, the most singular gift those born on this day can give is to reveal themselves, as an act indicates great trust. So these people are very, very private, and if they reveal themselves, they really trust you. There's a lot of trust going on. And it says belief is an important theme in the lives of December 10th people. So this is where the JW thing would come out. These people come out, their belief is shattered, and it's going to be really hard. Like, once your belief is shattered, if belief is important to you and your belief is shattered, it's what could happen? I don't know. These people would take it inward, I think. Devotional types, they pray at the altar of character, wisdom, morality, and revere only the finest characteristics of human nature. And very often, however, they reserve their greatest interest for non-human subjects because they instinctively recognize that flesh and blood beings rarely live up to the highest ideals. So these people would be very spiritual, believe in Jesus, Jehovah, very much. So that's why you could see a lot of December. So you go to the door. Are you December 10th? Which you look in your book. Okay, yeah, you'd be a good JW. But this personality is a spiritual person. Nature in particular holds a fascination for December 10th people. Nature, whether it be animals, plant life, or untouched natural things. And philosophically deep, those born on this day spend far more time than most pondering questions of existence, and they may put their faith in God, nature, the universe, scientific laws, or in a moving spirit behind all things, but they generally put their faith somewhere. Indeed, such things are not mutually exclusive for them. Okay, so that's the first 2 paragraphs of December 10th people. And remember, there's more if you guys want to get your whole thing. It's all in this book. I don't know if you can get this book online. Okay, who's the next one? Shack Composer, July 10th. Okay. July 10th. Now, let us know December 10th. Is any of that stuff true? Is this book fictional or fact? I don't know. You can get them pretty cheap. They're like 30. You can buy used ones, I think, online for $30, $60. It's a big book. July 1st, July 10th, eh? Okay. Yeah, I found this in the dump. You know, I didn't believe in any of this stuff, and then I started reading this, and I said, "Holy shit!" And then I read my wife's. Now, and maybe part of it, like, we really work good together, and it shows that we would work good together. But actually, you can figure out if you're compatible with certain people. This book can help you. July 10th. Those born, okay, let's first of all look at their strengths. Patient, receptive, and observant. Patient, receptive, and observant. So these are good people to have around, good friends. Receptive, observant. So weaknesses: procrastinating, uncommunicative, and isolated. Weaknesses. Okay. And everyone has weaknesses and good points. That's how we all have a kind of a dark wolf, a white wolf. That's how the indigenous people talked about it. A dark wolf, white wolf. And they said you need both. Both are good. Because your dark wolf, you know, sometimes that's your part of you that you might need it. If a bear is chasing you, you know, you need your dark wolf energy. It's more the animal in you, right?
A call.
Pardon me?
If you want to escape a call, then too, you might need your dark wolf.
You need dark wolf energy to escape.
Definitely need dark wolf.
Yeah. Okay, so now those born on July 10th exhibit a certain detachment their whole life long, which can even manifest at their greatest moments of triumph. Personal traits of receptivity, protection, introversion, and sensitivity are deeply ingrained in those born on this day, including the most active and outgoing ones. I don't even get any of that. Like, none of that even resonates with me at all. So I'm just reading words. It says, thus an unusual personality emerges, one which can have drives toward worldly success, yet frequently retreats into its own protected sphere. Visual talents are particularly evident in those born on this day. Visual talents. July 10th people assimilate impressions from the outside world, either through quiet reflection or direct observation, and give them renewed freshness in their work. So July 10th people assimilate impressions from the outside world, either through quiet reflection or direct observation, and give them renewed freshness in their work. And because of their extreme sensitivity to what is going on around them, they may prefer to keep a low profile and not call attention to their private life. And however, when activity is required to further their career or simply to acquire what they need, they will not hesitate to emerge in strength. And impatiently observing the world, July 10th people develop their own personal philosophy, one that does not necessarily have a strong moral bias. And those who hold anti-establishment viewpoints may live for their personal politics and later come to be regarded as saints or sinners for their deeds. Most are quiet, preferring to observe and act their own pace. Their lunar nature as Cancerians may lead them to unusual charm and appearance that others often find strange, qualities that make them fascinating or repellent in the eye of the beholder. See, all of this doesn't resonate with me at all. It says more conservative July 10th people are capable of leading very modest and even anonymous lives. Their way of seeking refuge from the world is by blending it in with and remaining unnoticed. Yet at certain critical points in their lives, adolescents, mid-30s, mid-50s notably, They're likely to surprise their family and friends by making a sudden departure from their otherwise passive self into a more active mode of existence. And usually they have been gearing up for this change for some years and have clearly defined purpose. And July 10 people are not afraid to speak their mind, but generally do so with tact and discretion. And sometimes overly sensitive to the feelings of others, they may compromise their own needs, postpone life decisions, and generally soften their desires to avoid inflicting pain. And such a tendency to procrastinate or deny themselves to avoid facing the natural facts of their existence invariably works against them. They must beware of waiting too long and thus losing vulnerable opportunities. So I read the whole page July 10th. Does that resonate? And did that help? So all of these talk about different stages in life too. You know, we will act different as we go through life. Like if I read yours, Peter, continued reading, it'll talk about that. Kind of interesting.
And I find it just helps, even if there's nothing to it. It kind of your brain can kind of think things through a little better, and you can kind of get to identify other people too, like you're saying. You can kind of read that, and it works. Like, or the cards too. Like I play poker a lot, so
my wife has helped me out a lot. You see, as a Jehovah's Witness, we tend to prototype ourselves into one personality type. And we're programmed as a Jehovah's Witness. So the Jehovah's Witnesses program you to believe that you're like Rutherford. So you take Rutherford's personality and that you compound that. It's a very confusing personality, but that's what it's built upon the Rutherford personality. So think about it. No beards for all those years, 103 years, no beards. Counting time for 103 years, and then all of a sudden one day you don't have to. Right?
I never counted time for a while before.
Good for you.
I didn't agree with it. And
I didn't
have the time, and I'm just didn't do it. So I just guessed every month. I always try to guess lower than I actually was doing, but I didn't bother with that crazy foolishness.
Different people have different things. I viewed it, if you're going to the service arrangement, if I hire someone, right, I was an employer my whole life. I hire people. When they show up at my office, I'm paying them. I'm paying them when they show up. I say 8 o'clock, they show up at 8 o'clock, I'm paying them. Maybe we sit down and have a service arrangement and talk about all the crap, Oh, okay, well, this is how you're going to present yourself out when you go and do your work today. Maybe we have a 15-minute. Well, I'm paying them for that. So it's BS that you go to a service arrangement and you can't count that time. That's BS. And then you got to drive all the way out to the service territory. And by the time you get there, and that elder takes a half hour. He's supposed to take 10 minutes. But that guy likes to hear himself speak, like me, maybe a little bit like me. I'm just here killing time. But you go to the arrangement and that elder's up there for a half hour, and I'm looking at my clock. I got to get to the territory because I can't count my time for all this crap. So you know what you do? At the end of the day, you kind of throw a bit of that in. I did, because it wasn't my crap. It was his crap. I sat there. They hired me to go there. They make you sit there before you can go and start your time. It's all bullshit anyways, right? We're all volunteers. No one should have been counting time. That's slave labor, to have you count time. And then slave labor getting you to say, okay, you got to be Canada's average. Well, Canada's average was a lot, like 8 and 9 hours. Always 8 and 9 hours. Right. What was it in over there? 8, 9 hours a month?
Yeah.
So then to get an hour in, if you got to sit through that service arrangement, listen to that guy, and you can't count that time, it's hard to get an hour in. You go out and service. By the time you get out there, it's 10:30 before you do your first call. You're not supposed to count before you do your first call. What if you sit in the damn car all day and that guy gets in on the first call? You're in the car. It's winter. It's cold out. He's in there for an hour. You haven't done your first call yet. It's 11 o'clock. Right?
Worried about that.
How the hell do you put an hour in? I'm counting it all. I'm counting the time I'm in the damn car. Well, the guy, we had some elders that would sit there. One elder, pioneer elder, oh, you can't count that. I said, bullshit, I'm counting whenever I want. It's my conscience. If I hire people to show up at my office, I got to pay them. Jehovah's hiring me to show up at his office. I'm counting that time. He has to pay me. I don't know. It's bullshit. It's a game. It's a game to get free labor, and we all have brownie points for getting 8 hours of being the average, 8 hours. Well, now, heck, if you do 8 hours, you're almost a pioneer nowadays.
Good day.
15 hours, you're a pioneer. Could you imagine 15 hours this month, like for the special time through the memorial, 4 months? If you do 15 hours a month, you're a pioneer, and we'll announce you on the stage. Peter's a pioneer. You used to, in the 80s, we used to put 15 hours a month in, right? Just
How long did you pioneer for?
me? I pioneered just for the regular for 3 years, and then auxiliary lots. And
The same as me, 3 years at regular.
yeah. So it's just it's a 3-year slip you sign, right? They pulled me off. They made me quit. They actually stopped me from preaching up here.
Wow.
I did unassigned territory up in the Northwest Territories.
Right.
And so I did that for a few years. And then what happened, my kids had some issues in the hall. You know how kids have issues. They get baptized too young.
Right.
So because my family had issues, the brothers say, okay, you're going to lose all your privileges. You can't be a pioneer no more. You're not presiding over your house in a fine manner. So I lost. So then they announced, I'm no longer a pioneer. And then other things happen. And then you can't be on the literature counter. You can't do this. No, you can't do mics no more. Oh, when you go up north you can't do that no more. You can't preach up north. It's a privilege. Well, can I preach here? Oh, yeah. You can preach here, but you can't preach up north. I said, that's kind of bullshit. I said, does Jehovah need this preaching all over? Doesn't he need it up north?
Mm-hmm.
And so then what happened is the Bethel guy, I was doing this for 3 years going up north. Or 7 years. I don't know how many. I did it for a lot of years. Lots of years. Once I got going up there, they wanted to hire me. I did fire alarm stuff, so they gave me contracts. They kept phoning me every year. Are you coming back, Vern? We need our fire alarms tested. And I said, okay. And then you get 3 or 4 communities calling you, then you book your trip, right? So then I'd phone Bethel. Well, I might as well do the territories while I'm up there. And they said, oh, yeah, they're unassigned. No one does that stuff, right? No one wants to fly up. There's $3,000, $3,000 to fly up north. So I'd fly up, and I'd have enough work. I'd always fly someone with me. I invited every elder in the hall to go. No one would go. No one locally would go. So I took people up, and they'd sign the territory out because I didn't have privileges. And then we did that for a while. And then the elders said, well, we don't think you should even be allowed to preach up there. And I said, that's bullshit. No, it's a privilege to preach and unassigned, so we say no. So I said, okay, I'll leave it in Jehovah's hands. So I go home that night, and I'd swear in my garage, throw boxes around. My ex would phone the elders and tell on me, right? And I said, this is just bullshit. Yet I'd rant a bit, eh? Even as a JW. So anyways, I remember praying to Jehovah, and I say, you know what, Jehovah? I pray to him like this. I say, you want me to go up north and not preach? Is that what you want? I'm not going. I don't need that work up there. It's all like I was doing it for the preaching work, right? That's why I did it. And so then that summer that they stopped me from preaching, I had so much work. People were phoning me. I had to go up. So I brought 2 people up. You got to pay $3,000 a ticket, right? I brought 2 people up. So it cost me $6,000. And then you got to pay the rooms, eh? The rooms are $300 a night.
Wow.
There are meals, but you build it all into the work. It's all built into the work, and it don't matter. So that's how I did it. I built it all into the work. And I said to Jehovah, okay, I'll go up. So I went up. The 2 guys preached. I did the work. I did lots of the work. I was allowed to do return visits. So I was allowed to talk. Like I could have coffee with someone, meet them somewhere. So we played with it, and I just went along with it. I didn't balk. I went along with it. And it seemed like Jehovah gave me enough work, more work than I needed. And that went on for a while. So then the elders got so upset, and we'd come back with all these placements and books and phone studies. And so we were having, I hooked another phone line up at the house, and we are having Bible studies over the phone, right? And lots of people, like other pioneers, wanted to come over and have a part. Well, the elders didn't like that. So they said, no more, you can't do that at your house no more. So we shut that down. And then they drove up because they didn't go fly up. And I remember I invited them all, but no one wanted to go up. So they drove up to some indigenous territories just out by just north of Alberta. And they didn't get treated favorably. So they say they came back. They said that everyone was drunk. Everyone was high on drugs. They had to go back to their hotel and pray to Jehovah. And I thought, what a bogus. And I actually approached the service over here and I gave him shit. I said, you know what? That was slanderous. That was so slanderous to say that off a platform about those communities. And to link it to the communities I was working in. I was working fly-in communities, not drive-in. The communities I worked did not have liquor stores. They're fly-in. You know, like none of it. I flew away up to Joe Haven and Kaliuk and Telioke and above you guys. I flew all over the north for 15 years. I flew.
My wife wanted to move up to Nunavut there for a while because she had a job.
No, don't.
I was like, man, it's too cold. I don't know. I'm going to freeze to death up there.
Don't.
Frozen.
Northern stores have good. They like couples. Like you could, if you're a couple and you guys got work ethics, you could go run Northern stores anywhere. You get on with them. Northern, you know who Northern stores are. They have 245 stores in the Northwest Territories.
No, I never heard.
I was doing all their fire alarms. They'd fly me in to do security, and because I do security and fire alarm, both, and tie them all together. And I ran my own company, but I had to sell that. I went through a divorce, so I had to sell it all. That's what you got to do. And then the ex, who's still a witness, took it all. She got all that.
They take it all, even if they're not with this guy.
How it all works. Canada laws, But anyways, this whole July 10th, did July 10th, who asked for that? Was it close? Anything? Okay, so July 10th, thanks. And that's why, we get on the, my wife helped me realize this, my good wife. I had two wives. I have a good wife. I was talking about the other one, right? But anyways, my good wife says, Vern, not everyone is like you. You seem to think that everyone can just be like you. And we do think that. If I can do it, if I'm like this, then why can't you? See, that's JW thinking. That's JW thinking. We think everyone is like a JW. Everyone should be going out in service. Everyone should be reading the day's text. Everyone should be having a family study. Everyone should be going to all these meetings. Everyone should just love Jehovah. Everyone should just pray. If you're depressed, just pray. You're not praying enough if you're depressed. You see, they figure it's one formula fits all, and they can make little robots that are called JWs, little JWs. We were all little JWs, children. And we all kind of had similar personalities. But then when we get out of it, holy shit, everyone's really different. There's a lot of differences. Some people don't like public speaking. Some people are so shy, they don't want to ever public speak. Maybe that's the July 10th person, I'm not sure. But they're capable of doing things, but it's just not who they are. They couldn't be bothered with blabbing off like I do. Like I sit up here and talk all day. I don't know why.
I could do that doing calls. I could call and be there for an hour just chatting.
Yeah. So what did I do in my life? I was like for my thing, it says we're meticulous. I was a fire alarm inspector. I had to do hospitals, write down 1,000 devices, smoke detectors, keep track of them all, write everything. It was like doing return visits. It's like being a JW, almost the same. Keeping track of things, organizing. organize your ministry. Or I had to organize these fire alarm things. My whole work was about that. I was alone doing it all. I just walk around and do inspections. You'd have to get up and test each device, you know. And then if something broke, you'd have to troubleshoot it. You'd have to fix it. And that was my life, my whole life. So I made a living. Then I go to the Kingdom Hall. It was all kind of like a blur. It's a blend. I was self-employed, so I had to sell myself. I had to sell the business, right? So I was a Jehovah's Witness. I had to go to the door and sell it. It was a very hard religion to sell, but you try to sell it. I wasn't real successful in selling it. I didn't have a lot of recruits. I could get studies started, but I couldn't finish them. I could never ever get them past 3 studies, maybe 4 studies. You know, people quit. People, you get going in this and they realize, it's not for me, right? So we're all different. Anybody else? I think that's it, eh? No one wants to take a look at their birthday. Sometimes that scares people. Sometimes it scares people, but I don't think there's anything to be afraid of. It's just part of life. As a JW, we were always afraid of everything, right? You're always afraid of tarot cards. You know, it's just tarot cards are almost like playing cards. There's jacks, queens, and kings in them. They're all it all comes from playing cards, those cards.
52 weeks in a year.
Oh no, I didn't do January 17th. Pardon me?
52 weeks in a year, 4 seasons, four suits, all every birth date actually has a card too. My card is the Jack of Clubs. It's probably there's multiple.
January 17th. January 17th, the day of unusual interests. Intuitive, imaginative, and accepting. Wow, those are your strengths. Your weaknesses are over-involved, hypersensitive, and overly fanciful. You'd be a good person on a, for making up thumbnails and ideas. You know, imaginative, intuitive. You know, you'd be intuitive to, like, if I was an employer, I would hire this person to be in my advertising department. You know, where you'd advertise your products. Intuitive. You want someone that's intuitive to the consumer, right? So if I was employed, if I would have had this book when I was running my business,
When's your birthday?
I was a JW. I didn't know how. I was just, I'd hire lots of JWs. Some would be good, some wouldn't be. You know, it's just people things. Everyone would try. Okay, January 7th. This is the 7th. No, I got the wrong date. Okay, so January 17th is different. Now, here's how it changes. January 17th is independent, expressive, and forceful. So you wouldn't hire them on your you would hire them on your sales team, right? Because they're forceful and they're independent. You'd make them contract salespeople. You wouldn't even manage their time. These kinds of people, they're independent, expressive, and forceful. They run their own business, these people, or at least you make them think they're running their own business. Now, their weaknesses is dominating, isolated, and uncooperative. So for sure, they have to run their own business. Okay. So the day of heavyweight is what this one's called. Those born on January 17th are some of the most powerfully direct individuals of the year. Those born on January, the most powerful. These people can run a country. So this is in large part because they usually have a very clear goal, a firm idea of what it is they wish to accomplish at any given time. They're also able to effectively assess their chances for success based on the past experience and difficulties that lie ahead. And early on in life, January 17th, people learn what it is that makes a human being tick. They come to understand the importance of motivation, that needs are what impel people to action and often determine how they will respond to any given situation. And needs themselves created basic human emotions, love, hate, fear, shame, guilt, etc. So most born on this day also realize early on that it is the person in control of him or her who exercises self-discipline who succeeds in life. So it's the person in control of him or her who exercises self-discipline who succeeds in life. And more highly developed January 17th people are in touch with their own drives and desires and are able to inspire themselves repeatedly to rise to life's challenges. And less highly developed individuals born on this day focus on how they may control their environment without first knowing themselves. And they can become masters of manipulation, less a covert manipulation than an outright handling of others. And whether physically imposing or not, January 17th people have a commanding presence that will tend to dominate most occasions. And because I've mentioned, their purpose is generally so well defined that they display such remarkable control over themselves, at least the outer control. And others may feel somewhat intimidated. And those born on this day do not ask permission to be who they are. They tend to throw off those inhibitions, which keep the average person from expressing talents and more dynamic side of their nature. So indeed, January 17th people are more likely to be concerned with individual achievements and are usually firm supporters of the rights of individuals. And thus they rarely make the best team players and usually operate better on their own. Isn't that what I said? They'd be their own boss, right? So it is not surprising that the greatest danger for January 17 people is losing touch with the feelings, concerns, and philosophy of others. And because those born on this day brook no compromise of their plans, they may cast associates, co-workers, or even friends in an antagonistic position. Did I say that right? Antagonistic. So they may cast their friends even in antagonistic positions relative to themselves. See, these are all words. I'd have to reread it. But the January 17th person, this should resonate. They may also drive less powerful individuals who feel they cannot compete with January 17th people in open, underground, to nurse grudges, to bide their time. Oh, to nurse grudges. Thus, it is crucial that January 17th people firmly ground themselves in social context while strengthening friendships and family ties. Above all, they must not allow themselves to become isolated or force those around them into a static or undesirable role. So this could be a hard thing if a January 17th person came out of the JW org and they're isolated, they're alone. It says above all, they must not allow themselves to become isolated. So it's isolation's maybe not good. Keep in touch would be the good thing. So those on this day are heavyweight individuals. They're very forceful, very powerful. If you're in a room with the January 17th people, they would probably make you feel intimidated just because of their presence, right? So does that seem to fit January 17th person? We just see little icons here, so we don't see it. This is what's kind of cool about these lives. You know, you can throw this stuff out. Doesn't matter. I don't know if it's correct or not, some of this stuff. It's just words, right?
Interesting, and I don't let the Jehovah's Witness beliefs hinder me in what I'm going to look at now. Maybe
no, that's good for you.
To it. I don't know. A lot of people believe in it. A lot of people have been looking at this stuff for a long time. So,
yeah, you know, it's this. Oh, the I think this goes back to the Magi, and I think that's why the JW org does not like the Magi. They demonize the Magi, and the Magi were the astrologers from the East. They carried wisdom. They had a lot of knowledge. These guys do a lot about the stars and stuff. And
for people who are high,
I think it's all connected. I think it's all connected. Everything.
So if you're
it's
high
all on Earth. Okay.
If you're hiding something, you really don't want people to learn tricks to figure out how to
Yeah, I suppose there's nothing. There's no secrets. What's that?
August 28th.
August 28th, eh? Where are you getting these from? Oh, August 28th? August 28th. That's almost my son's birthday. August 4th. I'm curious to see how accurate this is. I've only tested it out on myself and a few people here, like at home here, but this is a good test. You give us feedback. August, September. Yeah, flew by it. August 28th, right? August 31st. 29. These pages haven't been opened. No, this page has never been looked at. August 28th. Here we are. The Day of Language. Shows like a dove carrying something in its beak, flying away. Born on this day, famous people. A German poet, novelist, philosopher, dancer, film actors, Nobel Prize winners. Singers. A prime minister was born on this day. Which one? Austrian conductor. The Scottish-born New Zealand prime minister. So there's a Scottish-born New Zealand prime minister on this day as well. So the strengths for August 28th is convincing, articulate, and intellectual. And the weaknesses is inflexible, puritanical, and unaccepting. I don't know what puritanical really means. Do you, Peter? Puritanical?
No. What is it? Puritanical?
I don't know what that means. Well, anyways, let's read the first couple of paragraphs. Those born on August 28th are masters at the use of language. So there's a person you want on your writing committee. Wonder if they know a couple of languages, August 28th people. Normally, the word language refers to the use of written and spoken word. And indeed, many people born on this day are good enough at that. But in a large sense, the meaning intended here is the language of craft, a kind of technically facility. And people born on this day who are less verbally oriented usually master the technical aspects of what they do in their profession, down to the last detail. That'd be like a lawyer, language of craft. I don't know. It does show a lawyer, philosopher, a lawyer, biologist. So, yeah.
Puritanical.
In addition, August 28th people are convincing, and they know how to get others to think about what they say, admire what they do, and perhaps agree with them. So August 28th people generally make good debaters. Not only are they adept at reasoning, but manipulating concepts as well. So here's someone on our chat that could be a good debater for us. Let's say we need someone in the community to talk to the government, say.
Okay, so puritanical, practicing or affecting strict religious or moral behavior. So A. Ron Hubbard was correct, I believe. It's related to the Puritans, those guys who came over.
It says those born on this day, however, usually avoid high flow language or technique for its own sake. They consider technical mastery useless unless it's put in service of a cause or an idea that they deem worthy, thus using their rhetorical skills to clarify their thoughts and perhaps win others over to their point of view is generally what August 28 people have in mind. So August 28 people can quietly overwhelm others with persuasiveness of their knowledge and ideas, which are deep and wide ranging. So they would have been good, like from a JW standpoint of view, they would have been good at the door-to-door ministry, convincing people that this is the truth. That kind of, if they believe in it, you know. They can also readily back up what they say with fistfuls of facts. And too often, however, they are so convinced of the righteousness of what they're doing that they misjudge their audience, its needs and desires. Thus, family, friends, and general public may agree with an August 28 person at the time of discussion, only to change their minds later, or worse yet, just forget about the matter entirely. Those born on August 28th who have not discovered or developed their intellectual powers, perhaps due to upbringing or premature choice of career, can become aware of their talent for word and idea through reading or school study. And many on this day have an aptitude for foreign language as well. And it's only natural that family and friends come to the August 28 people for advice, as those born on this day often make excellent counselors, clergymen, social workers, politicians, and the like. And therefore, an August 28 person's social, family, or civic responsibility is very high, and great care must be taken in bringing influential options to bear on the problems of others. On the other hand, unscrupulous individuals born on this day may make excellent con artists, liars, and cheats, and may equally persuade in a destructive way. So it's important that August 28 people apply their advice to themselves as well as to others, and they must be aware of becoming puritanical, however, condemning certain forms of enjoyment and satisfaction due to a rigid and unaccepted belief system. So August 28 people should cultivate flexibility and regard for the feelings of others. Now, this book also, I didn't touch on it, but it talks about health, you know, for that personality type. Those born on August 28th are generally have many theories about health. And for this reason, they can be hard to advise or direct, but often serve as a fountain of knowledge for family and friends. And if August 28 people take an interest in food and its preparations, those who live with them will reap the benefits, since cooking and food choices are generally based on fundamental and well-founded tenets of nutrition. Long walks are strongly recommended for those born on this day, particularly due to the well-known connection between rumination and locomotion. Regular sensual and sexual enjoyment will do August 28 people a world of good and check puritanical tendencies. So there's the health side. I didn't cover that, but it's kind of interesting. So how did we do, August 28 person? Let us know in the comments. Okay, well, that's kind of it, eh? That kind of covers a few of them, eh? We'll give you a second in the comments. We'll let Peter can talk now.
Yeah, no, I find this stuff interesting. It's worth looking into, I think, and I think that you can learn stuff.
Oh, we're stretching our minds. Like if you're watching, what did you say that guy you're watching, where he makes you watch until he gets 1,000 on? Jason at Arcadia.
Yeah, Jason.
Archaics. You're watching that guy, so he's an interesting guy. He lived in prison for 25 years. And that's why I think he talks about a construct so much, because he was in a construct. He was in this prison. It was a construct. And then you remember Rutherford lived in prison, so he came out of it. I'd like to know Jason's birthday. Do you know his birthday? No. We should look. Oh, yeah, I know his birthday. It's June 6th. I looked it up. I actually looked his birthday up.
That other guy.
Jason, yeah, June 6th. And read you his birthday. I don't know how I remember that, but Jason's an interesting guy. June 5th, June 6th.
He knows a lot of the history, and he's put that kind of and everything seems to happen as clockwork. So
visionary, expressive, artistic. I think that's him.
Quite understood just because of the way he looks at it, because he only looks at the book part of it. So I don't think he can see quite the whole picture, but he's got a pretty good grasp of what's going on. There seems like there's going to be like a shift. They're calling it like a polar shift, but it seems like it's like the Earth just kind of shifts its location. The way
Polar shift, yeah.
Forward,
The north and the south pole shift.
but it
And
seems like
I think the equator will be Canada. Canada will be the equator.
it's like
Did
we're
you know
gonna.
that?
It's like we're gonna. I feel like we're gonna go into, but I feel like most of North America is gonna disappear, unfortunately. Like where they're talking about
Influential. Is that the one?
Ramapo is just gonna go in a big hole.
Air prone. No, I don't know. I'd have to see his birthday. I don't know if that's the one. I'd have to look again. But it does say in his birthday that he likes to do research.
Logan, he's a number guy, so I think it was on the show one time. He looked at his numbers and punched all his numbers and everything.
The Bible book of Numbers is all about numbers. Like there's a whole Bible book of numbers. And it's full of numbers. It's full of 666, all these different numbers in the Bible. What do they mean, right? Why are they there? So if we're religious and we came out of JW Org and we believe in the Bible, then we believe in a certain amount of numerology, right? And I don't know why they would demonize looking at numerology. It's just numbers. Everything right now we're talking on the internet, and you're in New Brunswick. It's all over the air. It's zeros and ones. It's numbers. It's all numbers making pictures on the screen. The numbers themselves are transmitting and carrying my voice across invisible airwaves to New Brunswick and across the world to all these people watching us. That's witchery. That's not real, folks. How does this happen?
That sounds like magic, and that's completely different.
This sounds like magic, what we're doing right here, just right now. But we know it's mathematics, it's numbers. This is all based on numbers to make this internet happen. So why are we afraid about numbers? Internet Watchtower's using numbers. They're using the internet. It's zeros and ones. It's numbers. We shouldn't be afraid of this stuff. The truth can stand up to scrutiny if it's really the truth, right? Just like you said that, didn't you, Peter? The truth can stand up to scrutiny.
Right. Yeah. And you should be able to see if it's true. You should be able to see it from different angles too, not just if the truth only comes out of the Bible, then I'm sorry, then the truth is probably getting scammed somehow. But I believe you can get the truth out of the Bible, just the same as you can get it out of different areas too.
You're going to see it all over. The Apostle Paul even said it's like looking at a metal mirror. It's not going to be real clear, but we're going to see something. We're all going to see something if we're looking, right? As ex-JWs, we're looking. We were JWs, so we were looking. Ex-JWs, you're still looking for truth. We're looking to believe in something, all of us. It's built into us. We're hardwired that way. It seems like, to believe in something. Even an atheist, people say, well, I'm atheist. It just means they're so sick and tired of that BS in the Bible that they walked away from it. They want to see something that's real, that's here. They want to see the eclipse. That's why they tuned into this channel today. Right? It's real. It's here. It's now. We've seen it through your eyes. We've seen the eclipse.
I wish you could have seen what I seen though, because it was wild. Like I never seen nothing, and you could feel it. Like even the temperature, you could feel it. I didn't hear any animals. They all kind of like
nothing
out there. It was
wow.
And some people were like I think Jason, he was talking. I seen guys like him saying they were just going to stay inside. They were kind of because in history that's often what people did, because I feel like stuff always happened after that. It was kind of always been like a sign, you know.
Yeah, well, it's a feeling, right? People, it's ominous. It's huge, and it's only happens. I've never experienced that kind of an eclipse in my life. So what you experienced is not many people get to see that. So it was a big thing, right? It was good. Well, thanks for being on with us today. I think we're done. Thanks to the community for tapping in with us. And we'll do this again. This is a pleasure having you on the show today, Peter.
I'm really good.
And,
You never talk talk on the other channel. You always like just go off, and I wondered you should stay on like on Wednesdays.
Well, I could, but Joe has to invite me on. That's his channel.
He doesn't invite me on. I go wherever
Do
I
you?
want. I go down all my neighbors. I just go right in. You know,
I figured because I make these, like we do this full time. So for now, we're doing this full time, and we make videos every day. And I think people probably hear enough of me. They're sick of me. So it's nice to hear Joe and you, right?
This first time I really got to chat with you, so I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I like chatting with you guys, like with you creators. I like to chat with the creators because
I'm not doing the creating. I'd almost give that Warwick People and channel away if somebody wanted it. 'Cause this almost has 1,000 subscribers. Like I'm not doing anything with that.
you're not into that stuff.
I just stole that from the guy because he was a damn thief. He was a scammer, and people still don't get it. They're still. I got a fight with Buddy the other day. He's trying to say word. Like, I was the effing scammer. I'm not even sure that wasn't AI. Like I don't know if that was even a real person. Like what the hell?
We have to be careful on these channels because we tend to want to help people. And I had my suspicions, but I didn't have any proof, so I'm not.
I have my suspicion, but I send him $600 so I can get.
Yeah. Oh, you sent him money, eh? Oh.
And then when I knew he was a scammer, I send him more.
You got sucked in.
Shit! I just wanted to shut him up.
Here's the thing, guys. We're all on this journey together, but this is our journey. You know, this guy chose to go to Bethel from another country. He chose that.
Is he real?
He went there and he signed a contract. You're
but
signing a contract when you go there.
Warwick Pimo, but is Warwick Pimo, was that really a real person? Was there any evidence?
I think he went to Bethel, didn't he? I think it was, and he lives in another country.
That video I released, but was he real? I got him to make that video.
I don't know.
That was real. That almost had an AI kind of.
We can't say, we don't know 100%, but I don't think AI does that kind of stuff.
But I got his name.
Someone would have been behind it.
The person that was being used, Watchtower was using that guy, you know, because as soon as I give that guy $600, within 1 hour, somebody was in my bank looking around. Like in my bank, I got double authentication. How the hell did they get in my bank? They had super access. I can tell you where they were looking in my bank from. I'm like, what the hell? That was 1 hour after giving Warwick people.
I think it's good that you're talking about this, Peter, because as a community, we got to be careful. There could be scammers, lots of scammers. And then the other thing is everyone's on this journey. We can help each other a little bit. But boy, you know, it's not up to the community. You'll get kicked out of Bethel. Well, you got to go get a job, or you get deported. If you're deported, well, you get deported, and you just got to deal with it. But we're all on this journey now. How can we use this journey to help others? That's kind of how I'm looking at it. You know, why am I doing this? Well, I wasn't going to do it this long, but there's a lot of people that are coming out of the org that need to talk. This needs to happen. What you and I are doing, the community that Joe and Fran have. All these meetups have to happen. These are all casualties, kind of almost coming out of this org, lost, shunned, depressed, suicidal. Some there's work to do. So I have the ability to help a little bit. So we're going to do what we can, try to help it with the community, but it's not forever either. Like you were saying, this is not forever. You know, sometimes we just got to keep moving on. And get with life.
I'm ready to start a new chapter in my life.
Yeah, exactly. And do that.
And I like to support you, so
Well, I think we're supporting. I appreciate your support because you're a good part of the community, and we're going to try to get across Canada here and advertise the XJW friends and let people know that there's life beyond the Watchtower. Don't be afraid to leave.
I don't know any XJWs around here anywhere.
We're just going to go to the assemblies and stand there with the kind of a sign. Did I show you the sign we made?
No.
Here, I'll show you the sign we made. I'll put it up on the screen.
I want to go to here in Moncton, but just I want to go as a JW, like with the tag and everything.
Okay, I made right here. So these are pop-up banners. You know what a pop-up banner is? It's just kind of on a pop-up thing.
Okay.
And it just you just roll it up.
All right.
It has a little. They're really quick. My wife and I used to do. Sean and I used to do trade shows here, right? we were, for our business, we were selling peat moss. We made these. We have these signs already. We just have to make new ones, like make new inserts. So this is kind of the idea here. Just something advertising. It's not a protest. It's letting the people know that there's friends outside of the Watchtower. That's all this is. There's support after getting out. That's all this is. xjwfriends.com. It's easy to remember that. YouTube, Fixing My Faith, easy to remember, right? Because people don't know that we're here in the Watchtower because they're not allowed to look. So we'll go stand there with a smile on, and while they're all walking into the assembly, and then we'll pack up and go, and maybe we'll go back when they're all walking out at closing.
I want to go. I want to get a tag, and on my tag, I just want to put PMO and just see who reads it, and see who
figures out, and then I'll just figure out who the PMOs are because when they see my, that's my plan.
That's a good one.
And
That's
if any elder tries to call me out on it, I don't know.
No,
I wouldn't want to be that elder.
well, good on you, Pete. Okay, well, I'm gonna shut her down here.
All right. Well, thanks a lot.
Thank you very much for tying us in today, and we'll catch you next time.
There you come.
So we'll close with the skydiving outro. How does that sound?
Great.
Okay, we'll see you later. Well, thanks for joining the show today. We hope to see you next time on JW Night Talk. But until next time, come for a ride with me. I'm going to put on my special goggles, and I'm going to need this parachute. So now we're all set to go, and I think we need a little music. So hit her, guys. Little night talk here. Here we go. Hey, look, my ride's there. Okay, my ride's here, so here I go. Woo! These are Nike Air, and they give me more lift when I'm skydiving because they are Nike Air.